Broadcasting from Manhattan Beach and the World Wide Web, you're listening to CHSR, HealthyLife.net.
As a service to our listeners, this program is for general information and entertainment purposes only. CHSR, HealthyLife.net does not recommend, endorse, or object to the views, products, or topics expressed or discussed by show hosts or their guests. We suggest you always consult with your own personal, medical, financial, or legal advisor.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in today. This is Joanne Reese, and you are live with the Hemp Show. Big thanks to our sponsors of this show. I'm so grateful for the guests that we've had on in the last few months. I think this is our 9th show, so it's been really, really rich experience for me. Every show I learn more and more. I get really inspired by hearing people's personal stories about how they got involved in the cannabis industry, how they learned about this. What we've been doing over the past few months is focusing a lot on, learning about hemp, why it's so important for our bodies, our physical body, our mental body, our emotional body, our energetic body, our spiritual body, why this sacred plant that we have such a long, long history with, why it was prohibited for 80 years, why it's now being legalized around the world, and just how important it is. I had an opportunity this last week to be looking at a newsstand, and the amount of magazines and press that's happening around hemp and CBD and this industry is phenomenal. We've been hearing for quite a while that what the projections are for this industry, what we're going to see now that our federal government here in the United States has formally deregulated hemp. And again, this is a very recent happening. This has happened just in the last 4 months. We've seen 80 years of prohibition is ended as hemp is now no longer a Schedule I drug. It's been deregulated, and the rest of the world is following suit. We're seeing the rest of North America, Canada, Mexico. We're seeing many, many countries in Asia all legalizing hemp, all trying to figure out how they're going to be involved in this massively growing industry. We're seeing it happening in South America and across Europe. So it's a really, really exciting time to be learning about the industry, about the health benefits, about the business, how people can get involved. And today we have a guest who's got a little bit different background. He's not a doctor. He's not a chiropractor or a herbalist, or he's a young man that I had an opportunity to meet earlier this week in Dallas, Texas. But he's making a mark. He's making a mark in the hemp industry. He's becoming a very fast-rising, enterprising influencer. So Dalton O'Neill is our guest today. He's a hemp entrepreneur. He's an activist. He's based in Dallas, Texas. He's got a massive drive and passion for this plant and a very clear vision about hemp in Texas and how he's going to be a part of this industry. Thanks so much, Dalton, for being here with us today.
Thanks so much for having me, Joanne. It was a pleasure meeting you earlier this week. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely, and thanks to our friend Trey who introduced us. So you have a company. It's called Green Light Events, which I love. It's like green light, let's go, right? Because that's kind of what's happening. We saw the first half of deregulation happen in 2014 with the Farm Bill. Then this bill got re-voted on in a much bigger way in 2018. But then the big second half came in, right, when our federal government took it out of the Schedule I drug category. And we're in green light right now, right?
Right. That's kind of where it seems to be. With a lot of states that are more progressive than Texas on this issue don't fully understand with the still prohibition states. The Farm Bill in 14 and 18 that had hemp language included, it just allowed the states to create their own programs. So places like Texas, just because the pilot program in 14 was enabled, or even in 18 when it was completely descheduled, Texas still has to make their own program. So right now we're still in a weird gray area Governor Abbott from Texas should be signing the hemp bill any moment now, but to date, it's still illegal to grow hemp in the state of Texas as of today. But like I said, through the Texas legislative system, we're right there. We're knocking on the door.
Awesome. And there's different pieces of it too, right? Because you said it's illegal to grow hemp, but I know there's thousands of companies that are distributing hemp products that are shipping into all 50 states because of the federal government deregulation. So any other comments on there about legality, distribution, that kind of thing?
Well, it might not be 100% popular with the audience or people in general. See, what happened with CBD is it wasn't legalized in Texas. The Human Health Services committee made a say we're going to try to pull it off the shelves. Then there was a bunch of outrage. That was in 2018, and everybody kind of banded together in unity, and they decided not to do anything until after the legislative session. So, contrary to popular belief, CBD sales with any traces of THC, even below the 0.03, any trace of THC are still illegal in Texas. But you look at county and prosecutors, they said we're not going to prosecute this. So that is the gray area confusion. So, and don't let anybody think I'm not pro CBD or pro, pushing the gray area, because we have to. The pioneers out here have to push the gray area to show everybody, look, the world's not burning down. But in Texas specifically, there's been horrible misinformation about what's legal, what's not legal. Hemp was descheduled in Texas, but until we have a ruling that this is okay to consume, this is okay to be here, it's for sure a gray area. What the fine language in this hemp bill, which is not final yet, but the Senate of Texas put a lot of extra things into it. What's most likely going to end up happening is if you want to sell or distribute CBD, you're going to have a license, a state of Texas license to sell CBD. So all the folks that are distributing in Texas and all the folks that have storefronts in Texas, companies will most likely end up having to get a license to sell CBD, which I don't know of any other place in the country that you have to have a license to sell it. But Texas is going to do some weird stuff. It's been up in the air because all these other states are pushing through, and Texas hasn't had the chance to actually have a legislative session. The Texas session only meets, this is what's even a bigger joke, is our government only meets for 3 to 4 months every other year. So from January to May, every other year, the Texas legislative meets. And if they don't get it done in that time, we have to wait another 2 years. That's why it takes us forever to get any type of movement on these issues, because the prohibitionists will just wait us out. So we have 5 days left in the session now, and if we don't get to more serious movement, we have to wait another 2 years. So I know that's a lot to swallow right there, because there are stories about somebody getting arrested for CBD or the flower or things like that, but it's really been a gray area in Texas across the board for any cannabinoids at all.
Right, and so I know you mentioned trace amounts of THC. A lot of CBD products have 0 THC. The brand that I recommend and have referred to people a lot has 0 traces of CBD. So there's a lot of things, and we're not going to dive too deep into just all the legality pieces here, because it's a complex topic. I remember when I really first started learning about this a couple years ago, over and over and over, the leaders in the industry were saying, we're going to fight some legal battles. We have some things that we're going to be doing. I know Hoban Law is a huge force in this area. I know that there's a tremendous amount of money and resource that's being put into legislation. I know that hemp companies around the world are banding together to create legislation that's supportive to the people, that's representative of the people, I would say, is one of the biggest issues that a lot of people feel like, is that they want their constituents that are being paid to represent them to actually represent them. And the people have for sure, voted in on this and what they're looking for on this. So let's switch gears a little bit to, I'm excited to hear your story, how you got involved in this, what you're doing at Green Light. So go ahead and tell us about that.
So Green Light started kind of out of a necessity. I'll bring it back a little bit. I'm a hardcore medical marijuana, medical cannabis activist. My mom, she passed of breast cancer when I was 19, so I witnessed up close what cancer and chemo does to people, and I was consuming in high school and just doing things and, just living life as a high schooler. And what I was smoking I thought was just fun and just relaxing, but I saw it as medicine for my mom. So I was able to medicate her a little bit back in the day before college or anything like that. And I didn't realize how impactful it was. I thought it was just a cool thing, but I didn't, it really, there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about that, because that was before CBD, that was before mainstream testing. The medicine I was getting her most likely, with statistics, probably had heavy metals, probably had pesticides, and her immune system was already shot. So post-college, which I did some political science, public administration, down at Texas State in San Marcos, Texas, it made me really not trust the government. It made me really kind of hold people accountable, understanding how these systems work and how they're not working for the people. And my love of, freedom and my love of my passion for this plant through the time, it prevailed into something. So in Texas, in 2015, we passed the Compassionate Use Program. It's very restricted medical marijuana program for patients with intractable epilepsy. You have to see 2 neuroscientists. You have to see 2. It's really, there's like 70 people in the state that can qualify for this marijuana. It's really just CBD oil. And there's 3 license holders in the state of Texas. Anyway, after I saw that law passed in 2015, it made me a lot more aware of the groundwork in Texas, that there were people fighting for this issue, that there were activists out there that were living and breathing, and I felt really compelled to start to understand the community and start to Google things, look at hashtags, and this was still in 2015, 2016, so the movement was big in Texas, but it wasn't really showing itself. It was hard to find the information on the internet. So in a quick summary, I traveled the state to find information on hemp and cannabis, or cannabis right then, and through the cannabis meetups, I learned about hemp. This is towards the end of 2017 that I went to my first cannabis conference in California, Los Angeles, out there where you're getting the best weather in the country, and it really woke me up to what's happening all around you, and it's not happening in Texas. So I came back and started throwing meetups with some friends that I met in the industry to just talk about cannabis and hemp, specifically the business opportunities, because in Texas we have to lead with the economics and the business behind this and how it's not affordable to lock people in jail for a plant. I'm an activist for a lot of different reasons, but I think activists for any issue need to be smart to know what game they're playing and what location they're in. Okay, we can preach these medicinal things and we can preach these studies, but in a place like Texas, you need to play to your opponent. You need to understand what they need to hear, what the trigger words are for them. In Texas, when you're talking about lowering taxes or more freedom or pro-business, hey, we're going to lure companies to the great state of Texas, then they'll get to talk. But that's another rabbit hole. We started doing these meetups, and just through the people we had met and networked with, our first meetup was, I believe in June of 2018. 30 people showed up. It was really amazing experience. A lot of people had stories to tell. We said, okay, we got to do this again. Our next meetup had 85 people at it.
Wow.
Okay, wow, people really want, and we were just on Facebook. It was just a private Facebook group that I think I added you to. It's a private North Texas cannabis and ag hemp entrepreneurs group, and we were just promoting in there, trying to add people. Hey, add your friends, do this. The third meetup we had, which we sold tickets to, a local attorney, Chelsea Spencer from Ritter Spencer, who's a really good cannabis and hemp attorney in the state of Texas, showed up, and we did a CBD and compliance ordeal. And we sold some tickets to that to kind of prove concept. And after that, Greenlight Events was born. We realized that we were bringing in mainstream education to people that did not have it, and that we wanted to create events for people to network and build within the community. So since then, that was in November, we've thrown events at the Capitol Factory. We had about 130, 125 people at that event. We sold sponsorships to it. We did a South by Southwest unofficial event last year at South by Southwest. So we've really been working in the state of Texas to match the industry contacts to bring Texas mainstream, whether it's seeds, whether it's lawyers, CPAs. We work with all the top-notch professionals in the state to put together seminars, day events, to bring education here and just have conversations about it, really. That's on the creative side. Greenlight Events creates their own events, but also we're a service provider. So my business partner, who I'm really happy to have with me, his name's David Flores. He's a very skilled cannabis warrior and a AV, audiovisual genius. So we have access to any equipment, any stage, any presentation services that need to be offered. Greenlight Events can do through our contractors. So we like to talk about Steve Jobs releasing the iPhone or Elon Musk releasing the Tesla. Greenlight Events' mission statement is to create the platform for people to announce their sustainability initiatives. So if you have a product in the space that you need to have a launch party for or you need the world to explain, Greenlight Events wants to help set that stage for you and make sure that if the video is recorded in the highest definition possible and to make sure the stage is really complementary of the time we live in. Because a lot of the hemp and cannabis events I go to, it's not a knock on the people of the community, but the presentation services just aren't there.
Right.
You go in and you're learning about the most cutting-edge cannabinoid therapy there is, but a doctor's screaming at us, a room full of 40 people. This needs to be recorded. This needs to be disseminated. We're living in times prehistoric of cannabis to where what's normal to us is not normal to rural America. So getting these things digitized and the voice recorded on the radio and getting the message disseminated is really important to us because at this point the evidence is there, the science is there. It's time for us to move forward.
Absolutely. So many things you mentioned. I'm doing a little recap here. So number one, you talked a lot about education and about bringing people together to have these really important conversations. And, I've been kind of amazed just in the last couple of years what I've seen. I mean, there's cannabis meetups and conferences and massive, huge events happening across the country. Most likely, I'm going to guess across the world. I'm a little more tuned into what's happening here in the United States. I had an opportunity to attend Expo West, which is the biggest natural product show in the United States. 90,000 people go through this event in Anaheim, California. And 2 years ago when I was there were less than 10 hemp companies there. It was very, very small. I walked around and talked to people at booths for 3 days. And a lot of people were just barely starting to really learn about this. And 12 months later, this last year at Expo West, which is about 3 or 4 months ago, there were 175 CBD companies there. They had a 2-day CBD hemp summit with booths and speakers and panels and unbelievably polished presentations. And that was in 12 months. So, and I know that, given what's happening with legality, federally, state-wise, the push that's happening, the activism, the amount of professionals that are coming into this, we haven't seen anything yet.
It's so exciting. The key word, too, I'd say, is interstate commerce. Like when Texas and other states come on board to transport this hemp flower or transport these raw goods, we're really going to be able to unlock the economies and agriculture communities of the country. Because right now they're all playing these weird games. Can we do business with each other? But once the raw materials are able just to be shipped out and no problem, and we can use banks, the amount of innovation this country can do, we're going to lead the world in it by a long shot. Not right now. It's timing for us.
Absolutely. So speaking of polished presentations, I'd love to get your feedback because I didn't get to talk to you after the meeting that we were collectively at together, but you had an opportunity to attend a presentation for Prime My Body, which is the company that I have been working with for the last couple of years, Monday night. It was a really special meeting. We have presentations that happen all over the place all the time. This particular meeting had the CEO of the company. It had the lead marketer. It had the co-founder. It had 30 of the top leaders in the company that had all been, brought together for a leadership summit, for a conference, for a tour of a new manufacturing facility. So I'd love to get your impressions. How was the meeting?
I loved it. Thanks to our mutual friend Trey. I mean, Trey was a really good friend of mine in college, and I love that guy from the entrepreneurial spirit, just really getting me hyped up. We've stayed in contact over the years. So he's told me about Prime My Body, and I've seen it. I've kind of seen on the back end of it growing and him giving me updates and telling me about the CBG and everything, and I thought it was amazing. So I was a little bit more that wasn't the first time I had seen a Prime My Body event. I went to one in Austin where I actually got to see JT and the CEO speak as well. So that was my second time getting to watch them speak, but I thought it was a great polished presentation. I sit in on a lot of different presentations and know a lot about a lot of different companies. I really like what Prime My Body does. I know I told you a little bit that I'm not really great at distributing or getting sales for the individual on network marketing. I'm not necessarily great at it, but Prime My Body has innovative and superior products from what's out there. I mean, that's just the truth. I thought the talk about the CBG and the Recept, hammering home, talking about scaling it out. I think Prime My Body is a really good company and definitely a company to watch moving forward.
And we're going to take a really short break. I'm just going to interrupt you here for 1 second. We'll be right back after this message.
Coach Kev believes everyone is a leader and has a kingdom to build. He wrote Kingdom Business, License to Lead, to give you his secrets to leadership and to learn how to use the 4 pillars and hemp oil to become a committed, passionate leader of your life. Get the book, Kingdom Business, License to Lead by Kevin J. Suber at Amazon.com. You'll be glad you did. So do it now. Kingdom Business at Amazon.com or call 424-645-7823. That's 424-645-7823.
Women face more challenges today, resulting in more stress, anxiety, and body imbalances. Women need a little more support, and that's where Recept may help. Organically grown and processed with nanosonicated technology, this THC-free hemp product is a great balancing tool. It may aid a woman's hormonal balance from PMS to conception, from pregnancy to menopause. So women, get your calm on. Order Recept today. Just text or call 310-678-9712.
You're interested in trying hemp for healing, but you really don't know where to turn for answers. That's when you call cannabis nurse Jamie Rollins-Smith. She'll help you design an individualized, effective plan for utilizing just the right cannabis medicine, whole food nutrition, and mindfulness to achieve your personal wellness goals. As a cannabis consultant, she even offers services and online courses for nurses. Find out more about Jamie Rollins-Smith at TrueHealthConsulting.com. Or better yet, call her at 561-377-0220.
After 80 years, the government has finally broken open this industry. Imagine tapping into an industry that is expected to grow from $60 million to $22 billion in just 2 years. The industry is hemp. This just might be what you're looking for. To find out how you could be an international distributor with one of the fastest growing hemp companies, call or text 310-678-9712 now. That's 310-678-9712.
Created by nature and proven by science, Recept Hemp Extract is something you've probably never experienced before. This organic, non-THC product not only has CBD, but Recept has the latest and highest CBG content. CBG may aid sleep, pain, digestion, mood, so many things. Get your broad-spectrum Recept today. Call or text 310-678-9712 now, or visit lovinglife.primemybody.com.
You're listening to HealthyLife.net. Millions of listeners know the secret. Now you do too. Positive talk 24 hours a day, every day.
Thanks so much for joining us today. Hope everybody's having a beautiful day, and I know it's gorgeous here in Redondo Beach. Hope it's beautiful for you wherever you are listening to this today. This is Joanne Reese and the Hemp Show. If you're just tuning in, feel free to check out the on-demand podcast button to hear the first segment of today's interview. Our guest is Dalton O'Neill. He is a hemp entrepreneur in Dallas, Texas. He's running a company for the last 2 years or so called Greenlight Events. He's a young man, under 30, but smart and ambitious and very well connected. And I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that you're being informed by the sacred plant. I know that I really feel like a lot of people that are working in this industry are, we're kind of answering to a higher calling, whatever that means for you. Yes? Was that a yes? Did I hear a yes?
That was an absolute yes. It's 100% listening to the plant. I feel like my body's in overdrive or auto drive, and it's like, hey, where are we supposed to go today? What does the universe have for me today? The universe brought me here, and I just can't even think about all the amazing things this is going to do. It's just like a chain link of universe things in the cannabis and hemp industry that just brings everybody together at the right time.
I love it. Yeah, I talk about that a lot. I just want to go back to what we were talking about right before the break. So you've seen a lot of presentations. You're dealing with some of the top-notch professionals in the hemp industry in Texas. You're bringing together people from finance and from legal, and you're working with different distributors and suppliers and a whole host of different people that are coming to your events, that are sponsoring your events, that are presenting at your events, speaking, educating people. I like the acronym for HEMP is Help Educate Misinformed People. We've got a lot of moving parts here on a lot of different issues, and so I was appreciating that you were giving us some positive feedback about the presentation that you attended, the leadership, about Prime My Body, and any other further remarks before we get interrupted on that.
No. Like I said, I've got to see Prime My Body grow behind the scenes through Trey and get updates on how wonderful everything's going. And I think the presentation was awesome. I think when you can have that many people across the country travel to one location, it's really, really unique. I think Prime My Body set the stage and set the tone for innovating in the space and taking new things to market. And I think if you guys keep that up, it's definitely one of the biggest companies to watch moving forward, just with all of them. There's huge CBD companies out there, but you guys are doing things behind the scenes to stay relevant and to stay up to date. At the end of the day, everybody can sell CBD. Eventually, everybody can be able to sell CBG. So it's all about staying with the robust, staying on the clinical breakthroughs. I think you guys have a really great medical board of advisors. I think adding to that and always being open-minded and receptive, because at the end of the day, all these studies, some of them are going to contradict. We have to fund studies to try to break our own studies. That's the one thing about the science community that I think it needs to be noted is, hey, just because one study says it, nobody wants to spend money to try to break it. That's what I've learned through a lot of the research studies that I've worked through and through the research community I've done. It's like, hey, we study, Joanne and Dalton spend money on a study, we prove it, and then we release the article, but then nobody tries to break it because the money's not in breaking it. The money's not in affirming that our study's right. So we've really got to do a better job of trying to break our own studies to run around saying this is fact, and we're not going to take no for an answer because the science is there. But not to go down the scientific rabbit hole, I think Prime My Body's leading by example by bringing the medical board to the front of the conversation. You guys aren't just trying to sell CBD. You're trying to start with the education piece, talk about how, the day-to-day life of unhealthy bodies and then getting, our bodies in fine-tuned condition. So I love it. I'm super excited to see what Prime My Body does to stay relative in the, there's going to be so many people rushing to white label CBD and to grow it and to do all these things. It's all about staying relevant so when the dust settles, you're still there. And I think Prime My Body's in a position to do that.
Awesome. And so 2 quick things. One of the things you mentioned early on was having product that's loaded up with heavy metals. So I'd love to just hear your comment on why, for our listeners who aren't aware, right, cannabis is considered to be a remediation plant. It actually sucks toxins out of the soil. So having pristine soil where you're growing any products that are going to be ingested is really, really critical. 10 years, no herbicide, no pesticide, no fungicide, no GMO, third-party validation, testing all the way through. What do you have to say about the criticalness of that? And how do you know that something is a superior product? Like, what does that mean to you?
So there's a bunch of different kickers, and everybody's running out new compliance, and it's really a state-by-state thing. But if you don't have an updated COA from a state-registered lab attached to the product, then personally I couldn't verify it. I mean, I could try it and like it, and that's fine. But if you don't have the COAs from a state-registered lab right there with you, we don't know what's in the bottle. Even then, people are still being shady. So there's no national industry standards. So it's kind of up to each person to find out what they're putting in their body. I talked about the heavy metals and pesticides because I'm all about responsible distribution and people understanding. When I found out that AARP was trying to sell my grandma sending her direct mail of, hey, you should buy this CBD, and then we got it, and then we knew just based on the label that it was a scam. These people they're vultures. There's vultures out here trying to sell CBD to old people, and not just old people, but people that need it. They're hitting target demographics without doing responsible distribution. Nothing's getting lab tested, and they're just shipping it in here. And so the heavy metals could get in there by the way it's farmed, by the way it's processed and extracted. If you don't have eyes from seed to sale or farm to finished good, then you can't verify it. And you might trust the person, and you might say, I really like Trey. I don't think Trey would give me anything wrong. Unless you can verify exactly where it's coming from, which Prime My Body does with the QR code, then you can't. You really can't verify that it is what it is unless you want to spend the money to get it third-party tested yourself. And, with the cost of a tincture bottle alone, getting money to test it on top of that independently and finding a place to test it, there's no really consumer protection. So I forgot exactly what the question was, but it's really important to me because a lot of the people that need this medicine most, bodies aren't prepared to have these toxins, heavy metals, pesticides. They didn't ask for that. They're trying to get medicine in their body, and they're getting a little extra dose of farmers cutting corners or manufacturers cutting corners. Because at the end of the day, in Oregon, people's hemp farms, a big deal is people suing each other because of the downwind and cross-pollination between people's plants. So just because you tested it at the beginning of the plant one way, then in the middle, well, if it gets cross-pollinated in the middle of the harvest, and everything gets all mixed up, you might not even know what you have. So there's so much testing, there's so much farm to finished good or finished product that we're not keeping track of right now. It's just hard to know. Right.
So we're talking about how do you get the very best product? How do you make sure that your product hasn't been contaminated? We're going to take a short break and continue on with this conversation.
The best herbalist, aromatherapist crafted body creams and herbal remedy products are now available to you. Completely organic, completely chemical free, and here's the secret, they're made with love. Vitality and rejuvenation seeps through with every application of Gaia's Garden Bath and Botanica products. Get your Gaia's Garden Bath and Botanica products today. Visit artfire.com and search for Gaia's Garden Bath and Botanica. That's artfire.com. Search for Gaia's Garden Bath and Botanica, and you're there.
After 80 years, the government has finally broken open this industry. Imagine tapping into an industry that is expected to grow from $60 million to $22 billion in just 2 years. The industry is hemp. This just might be what you're looking for. To find out how you could be an international distributor with one of the fastest growing hemp companies, call or text 310-678-9712 now. That's 310-678-9712.
You're interested in trying hemp for healing, but you really don't know where to turn for answers. That's when you call cannabis nurse Jamie Rollins Smith. She'll help you design an individualized, effective plan for utilizing just the right cannabis medicine, whole food nutrition, and mindfulness to achieve your personal wellness goals. As a cannabis consultant, she even offers services and online courses for nurses. Find out more about Jamie Rollins Smith at TrueHealthConsulting.com, or better yet, call her at 561-377-0220.
Women face more challenges today, resulting in more stress, anxiety, and body imbalances. Women need a little more support, and that's where Recept may help. Organically grown and processed with nanosonicated technology, this THC-free hemp product is a great balancing tool. It may aid a woman's hormonal balance from PMS to conception, from pregnancy to menopause. So women, get your calm on. Order Recept today. Just text or call 310-678-9712.
Humans aren't the only ones that can benefit from hemp. Animals can too. Hemp Health for Pets was specially formulated for dogs and cats. Safe and effective, your pets can feel balanced in body and mind with Prime My Pet Hemp and Health Blend. It has organic CBD and yucca, hawthorn, fish oil, and red algae, making Hemp and Health Blend perfect to aid your pets' inflammation, skin conditions, joints, and more. Get yours today. Just text or call 310-678-9712. That's 310-678-9712.
Eclectic talk with a positive twist. HealthyLife.net.
Hello, everyone. This is Joanne Reese with The Hemp Show. Thanks for tuning in with us today. If you're just joining us, click on the on-demand podcast page so you can hear the beginning of today's interview. So we're talking about hemp, and just to clarify for anybody who's kind of new to this conversation, right, there's a plant called cannabis. There's thousands of strains of this plant, and our federal government, through the Farm Bill, through recent government deregulation, has created a legal definition for hemp. Any cannabis product that has below 0.3 THC is legally hemp. So this is federally legal. We've got a couple states that are still battling out how they're going to look at this, how they want to regulate growing, distribution, that type of thing. But this is, when we're talking about hemp, when we're talking about CBD, sometimes we're using these terms interchangeably. This is the pure medicinal side of cannabis. This does not get you high. This is not psychoactive. And for most people, with their medical issues, mental, emotional, whatever their issues are, digestive-wise, anxiety, whatever it is, they're going to have tremendous experiences, positive experiences taking hemp products. Not necessarily hemp seed. That's a whole separate conversation. When you go to Trader Joe's and you buy hemp seed, that's a great protein. It's not the medicinal side of when you're extracting from the stem, from the stalks, from the whole plant. So this is hemp oil, hemp extract. It's rich in CBD, CBG, other cannabinoids, other terpenes. We've spoken a lot in the past about broad spectrum, full spectrum. You want as much of the plant as possible. It's very different from, say, an isolate, which is what pharma is doing, right? Pharma is, they can't work with plants. They have to get a patent on a single thing. So, we did have a legalization of the first CBD isolate called Epidiolex, which they're doing a lot of research on right now. They're using it for kids with seizures. They're using it for research on autism, and, they're seeing great results. That's a synthetic pharmaceutical-grade isolate, so very different from a broad-spectrum plant where you have something called the entourage effect, which is where you get all the cannabinoids and all the terpenes working synergistically together. So much to cover on this topic. Really grateful today to have our guest, Dalton, from Greenlight Events out of Dallas, Texas. And we were just speaking, before the break about the importance of, if you're going to put a product in your body, right, it's about what you absorb, what's in that product. You want to make sure that you've got a certificate of analysis from the company. That means if you're buying CBD from your brother's cousin's friend who's growing it, and you're going to smoke it or vape it or put it in capsules or squirt it in your mouth, if that person isn't using a third-party lab before, during, and after, during all processes of processing this, you have big chances of having contamination, of having heavy metals, of having pesticides, herbicides, which is problematic, right? We don't want that.
Yeah, it could potentially destroy your body, especially if you have an autoimmune disease and your immune system is absent. You really can't afford to try to play those games.
Right. And so this is a little bit still like the wild, wild west, right? I often say, like, we're pioneering a revolution here together, right? And it feels like that. I'm sure even in Texas, right? Or especially in Texas, because you've got legal issues, you've got, regulation stuff happening. We don't know exactly where things are going to go. I feel like we're making great progress. We're going to continue to legalize all kinds of plant medicines all across the board. We're making really big progress in this, but it is a revolution, and all the regulations are not in place yet. I often tell people in California, like, do not go to a dispensary and buy product. Do not go in there and think that the person behind the counter is a hemp expert or a CBD expert, and that they are educated, and that they're going to, represent your best interest and, present you with something that's going to be of the highest medicinal content. Would you agree?
100%. Some of them, a lot of people in the industry get their start from being a bud tender, or they're really passionate, or they might have their own personal stories, but at the end of the day, they're there to do that job. It's to get you to leave with product. Their job isn't to tell you not to buy this product. So you might get lucky every once in a while, but you're hammer on the nail with it. I don't want to butcher the thing, but what is it? Pioneers get the arrows and settlers get the land type deal. I think it's very obvious right now that the people pioneering are going to have to take those arrows, and then when the settlers come in, that's whenever we're going to have the standards. That's when we can just say, look, this is good because it has the seal. It's fine. This is a good product. But right now, we're nowhere near that. And unless you have a lot of connections, unless you have the IT to know about the supply chain and where your product's coming from, or personally know the farmer, it's hard to verify. It's real unless you have eyes on all areas of the supply chain.
And you mentioned that your initial, kind of getting started in this, and this is a common theme for every show that we've done thus far, and every panel, every speaker, every conference I've gone to, people stand up and they're like, I was very skeptical about cannabis, or I didn't know anything about this, and then I got sick, or my mom got sick. Somebody in my family had a crisis with cancer, with diabetes, with some, suicidal ideation, whatever it is, and somebody suggested this. And what we saw was nothing short of miraculous. So if our listeners are here and they have a medical condition, they have a mental condition, emotional, something's going on, would you advise people to? How do you know what's the best? Where do you get the best products? What are the considerations to be looking at?
So I think it's all condition-centric, too. So, for a while I was skeptical on CBD because I knew the therapeutic benefits of cannabis, and I knew the THC factor with the nausea. It just made complete sense to me. And I knew about CBD, but I didn't have access to any high-strain, powerful CBD. So now I'm a full believer because I've seen it firsthand and from a lot of patient testimonies of the amazing things CBD has done for people. It makes me excited for all the cannabinoids, CBG, CBN, for all these cannabinoids to be researched and studied, not just the big THC, CBD. But I would say in this era of Wild West, if you have a condition-centric, find a community that understands those conditions. So if you have ulcerative colitis, or you have Crohn's, or you have cancer, or a specific type of chemo that you're nauseous from, it's cool to find that community, that sub-community, to see who's had success with what, and then work together as a team. Because different CBD strains are different. Everybody's bodies are different, too. Everybody's endocannabinoid systems are different. So with the conditions, the endocannabinoid system, there's so many moving pieces. There's not exact dosage. There's not exact, we're all different. We're all different vehicles. So finding condition-centric patient groups to share your story freely and to talk about what the alternatives are, I think is the HOV lane to pain relief. Because it's going to take you a month to go see a doctor if you're lucky. It's going to take you 3 months to see another one. And these doctors aren't on the cutting edge of it. The patients on the front lines are. Just through patient testimonies and just through folks that are looking for this information, we're more up to date than most lawyers and doctors are right now, Joanne, just because we're making this our everyday life. So if you have a condition or you're looking for medicine, you need to find your community and get directly to the point and ask these questions. Because there's going to be no Google that says, what do I do when my Crohn's feels like this or something happens. You got to find your patient group and ask the CBD question to get on the exact right strain. If not, start in a high dosage and then figure it out.
All right, and we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
You're interested in trying hemp for healing, but you really don't know where to turn for answers. That's when you call cannabis nurse Jamie Rollins Smith. She'll help you design an individualized, effective plan for utilizing just the right cannabis medicine, whole food nutrition, and mindfulness to achieve your personal wellness goals. As a cannabis consultant, she even offers services and online courses for nurses. Find out more about Jamie Rollins Smith at TrueHealthConsulting.com. Or better yet, call her at 561-377-0220.
Women face more challenges today, resulting in more stress, anxiety, and body imbalances. Women need a little more support, and that's where Recept may help. Organically grown and processed with nanosonicated technology, this THC-free hemp product is a great balancing tool. It may aid a woman's hormonal balance from PMS to conception, from pregnancy to menopause. So women, get your calm on. Order Recept today. Just text or call 310-678-9712.
Humans aren't the only ones that can benefit from hemp. Animals can too. Hemp Health for Pets was specially formulated for dogs and cats. Safe and effective, your pets can feel balanced in body and mind with Prime My Pet Hemp and Health Blend. It has organic CBD and yucca, hawthorn, fish oil, and red algae, making Hemp and Health Blend perfect to aid your pets' inflammation, skin conditions, joints, and more. Get yours today. Just text or call 310-678-9712. That's 310-678-9712.
After 80 years, the government has finally broken open this industry. Imagine tapping into an industry that is expected to grow from $60 million to $22 billion in just 2 years. The industry is hemp. This just might be what you're looking for. To find out how you could be an international distributor with one of the fastest growing hemp companies, call or text 310-678-9712 now. That's 310-678-9712.
Created by nature and proven by science, Recept Hemp Extract is something you've probably never experienced before. This organic, non-THC product not only has CBD, but Recept has the latest and highest CBG content. CBG may aid sleep, pain, digestion, mood, so many things. Get your broad-spectrum Recept today. Call or text 310-678-9712 now, or visit lovinglife.primemybody.com.
You're listening to HealthyLife.net. Millions of listeners know the secret. Now you do too. Positive talk 24 hours a day, every day.
Thanks so much for joining us today. This is Joanne Reese and the Hemp Show. We are on the cutting edge here. We're having cutting edge conversations about how is hemp going to help your body? How's it going to help your brain? How's it going to be of benefit to serve your community? How do you learn about it? How do you know what's good? Going online and just searching can be a little confusing for people, although it's really great that Google's our friend here. You know, I often am sharing with people, go Google CBD benefits for cancer. Go Google CBD benefits for anxiety, for autoimmune disorders, for Parkinson's, for tremors, for ADD. It's amazing what you're going to find if you go online and you start reading and you start searching. You're going to see a combination of medical research. You're going to see anecdotal evidence. You're going to see people who've had profound experiences and they started YouTube channels so they could share their story. And all around this area of educating people about holistic medicine, educating people about the benefits of cannabis, CBD, THC, you know, all these different components. So our goal here with this show is to have these conversations, to give people resources. There's a great website called projectcbd.org. If you haven't checked that out, please do. If you type in projectcbd.org/conditions, you will see hundreds of different conditions that they are recommending cannabidiol for. There are PubMed high-level scientific studies, research from National Institute for Health, Anybody who says the research hasn't been done isn't looking, because it's definitely out there. So when somebody is, potentially looking for a really good product, we've talked about we want it to be third-party tested. We don't want pesticides or herbicides in it. I know from my perspective, absorption, bioavailability is an important aspect here with any kind of herbs, any kind of dietary supplements. So you want something that's going to, the nutrients are actually going to get absorbed into your cells. Is that something that you've touched on a little bit, Dalton?
A little bit. I mean, on the science side, full disclosure, I get a little tripped up on exactly how it all works. But I definitely recommend people doing their own research on Google, because just like you said, the information's there through patient groups and through learning about your own body. You'll understand what your body needs. It's not rocket science. I like the visual graphics. That's something we need more infographics on how these things work. I'm a visual learner, so sometimes I can't articulate it verbally. But everybody's system works a little bit different, and you have to be able to get the right potion for your own body. There's a sweet spot.
Absolutely.
And once you find your sweet spot, it's just like anything else. This probably isn't popular on your show, but how many beers it's going to take, or if you like the single or the double, you know these things.
We're all experimenting all the time, aren't we?
Right. Our bodies are just vehicles of chemistry and biology, so it's all different. But I think everybody's got a sweet spot of what they need to put in their body, and really just finding the community to help guide them to make sure it's the right stuff. Absolutely.
And somebody also recommended to me recently, which I hadn't done before, just to Google the endocannabinoid system. I often send people videos and such. We have just to learn about the endocannabinoid system, but you can just Google that. It's endocannabinoid system, right? This is a system in our body that is the biggest receptor system in our entire body. They're calling it the master switch. It regulates all other functions in your body: central nervous system, digestion, autoimmune, or your immune system, your body's ability to fight off toxins, your neurotransmitters, your entire endocrine system, which is hormones. All of it is regulated by the endocannabinoid system. So, pretty important thing. If any of you are under any sort of medical care, I recommend that you ask your doctor if they know about the endocannabinoid system, if they've been looking into CBD, if they know what it's doing for people. I was talking to Dr. Uma. She's kind of renowned. She's out of Boston. She's been doing endocannabinoid research, and she treats cancer patients, and it hasn't prescribed opioids, and I don't know the exact time, 2 or 3 years. So she's been a little bit ahead of the pack on it. And she talks a lot about the endocannabinoid system, and it's not, cannabis isn't it's not the gateway drug, it's the exit drug. And she talks really good about medical schools and keeps people updated with when medical schools are starting to teach it. Because I think, and I don't want to butcher these numbers, but I think today only 32% of medical schools in the United States teach about the endocannabinoid system. So the number is on the rise. But the truth is, even if you have a friend that's in medical school right now, there's a higher percent chance that they are still not learning about it. So as foot soldiers and as pioneers in all this, we've really got to make sure we really need somebody running to every medical school in the country dropping off this literature. You could say, oh, well, it's on Google, they should know. They really don't. Somebody in medical school that's focusing on year 3 out of 9 isn't concerned about new systems right now. They should be. But they're worried about how much this residency is going to cost and where they're going to have to move to. Right, and this isn't even new, because the endocannabinoid system was discovered over 30 years ago by a researcher in Israel who's been leading cannabis research. And somehow, we just kind of totally missed the boat over here. We're busy, demonizing this plant. We're busy, and even if you look back at the history of what happened with our medical schools 80, 100 years ago, everything changed. Some big business people, entrepreneurs got together. They created a paper. They got rid of all the holistic medical schools. They turned everything into the, diagnose and prescribe kind of medical model. They get rid of all the midwives in our country, turned birth into a medical procedure. So, yeah, we have a lot of opportunity here to kind of educate.
Mm-hmm. and go back to healing. I mean, we've been on this planet for a while without that model. And, I'm not going to say everything was fine, but we survived. So we don't need all these extra things right now.
Absolutely. So I just want to close out by asking you, like, what's your vision? Where do you see things going? What's your hope? How are you hoping to contribute to this, pioneering this revolution over the next few years?
So it was 2 years ago, really, whenever I kind of made a decision. Am I going to travel to another state and take an industry job, or am I going to hold it down here in Texas? And it was hard because I would rather have experience working at a legitimate facility or something to bring it back to Texas. But I made the conscious decision to stay here and to try to help build the infrastructure for Texas and to try to bring all the pieces on board, because I meet a lot of Texans in the industry that no longer live here. They said, oh, I couldn't stay there any longer. I had to move, or I had to do this. So how I want to help with Texas in general on the cannabis and hemp side is by bringing back some of these Texans to help build this Texas infrastructure and industry. Because the truth is, Texas has a lot, and I'm not just the normal obnoxious Texan, but I am really proud to be Texan, and I think Texas is one of the most amazing places in the entire world to lead the way. And we don't just have the land, we don't just have the pro-business laws, we have research facilities that are already built with MD Anderson, the Baylor system. Texas can lead the way in a lot of these different things. So my vision for Texas is to get a lot of research done, to get a lot of hemp growing, because the more hemp that's grown, the more trash there will be. The more trash hemp we have, post-extracted trash and other things, we can use on the sustainability side for hemp T-shirts, hemp plastic, hempcrete. And that's really where my heart is, because I love CBD and I love the medicinal effects, but the environmental effects, the unintended consequences of hemp can have on our environment is really where my heart's at. So I want to help.
So follow Dalton on Greenlight Events Co. on Facebook. Thank you so much for your presence here today. I totally appreciate what you're doing. If you are interested in getting more information about any of the topics that we discussed, you can reach out to me personally. My phone number is 310-678-9712. You can look at www.lovinglife.primemybody.com for more information about any of the topics we talked about. And just a huge thanks to you. Thanks for being here with us today, Dalton.
Thanks so much, Joanne. Thanks for having me.
Bye, everybody.